is here and you are ready for the best year ever. But you've made mistakes in the past. You've made resolutions and goals in the past, and you constantly find yourself falling short and not making any real progress in the direction you want. Or maybe you've had a good amount of progress, but the bar was set too high, or so you believe. There are three common mistakes I see so many people make, and you're bound to make these same mistakes again unless you build the awareness around them and start to proactively correct them. So, the first one that I see almost everyone making when they're making their goals or resolutions, whatever, is a lack of clarity. The good thing is, this is super simple to fix. You just need to take the time to sit down and be clear about the direction that you're headed in. Now, to visualize this for you guys, make this a little easier, I have my pad right here. And I know this isn't the best format, but keep with me. So, we have better and we have worse. Now, I imagine the goals that you're setting, you have the intention to be better. No one wakes up, starts making their goals and saying, I want to be worse this year. So, it's safe to say that we want to get better. We can ignore this completely. No one wants to get worse. Everybody wants to become better. So we now know our direction. So we've cut off 50% of the options. We know we don't want to go this way. We do want to go this way. Amazing. We have the start of clarity that we can all agree on. But here's the thing. Better is so vague and so subjective. I want to make more money. Cool. There's less and there's more. I want to lose weight this year. Better than gain weight. You don't want to gain weight, depending on what your goals are. I want my relationship to be better. Cool. I don't want it to be worse. So everything is better or worse. It's about changing the current position we're at to a new one, enhancing. We all want to be better. Now, someone's goal is, I want to make more money this year. Cool. What does that look like? See, there's 100 million different options this way. You see, if you made $1 more, you got better because your goal was to make more money. So you made $1 more. You could do that on January 1st. Or maybe your goal is you want to lose weight. Guess what? You lost half a pound on January 1st. It's better, right? It's in that direction. It's better. It's on the way. Cool. I can, without a doubt, state that most people want more progress than that. 365 days, you want to transform your life. You want to be a new person at the end of that year. Not that this version of you is not good and great, but you know that there's more possible. You see, most people leave it to that vague nature. Well, if your goal is to make more money, well, I made $100 more. That's a lot better than one. Or maybe I made $1,000 more in the year. That's cool. Well, what is your goal actually? You see, we have all these better options, but what we really want to focus on is the best. You see, when you're right here, let me write this here. Okay. B for best. I know it's a little ugly. Maybe we'll just put a star there. Anyways, this is where you want to go. This is the best. This is the best version of you. At least in this 365-day period, this is the direction you want to go. But you see, when you go this way, or you go this way, or you go this way, you're off track. Because if I'm driving from Texas and I want to get to New York City, there is one destination. If I say I want to go north, look how many different places I could end up. There's a million different places inside of the United States that I could end up. But because I didn't have clarity, I just went north. Saw a sign that said north, started driving. Where did I go? Well, if I just set my GPS to go north, you can't even do that. GPS won't let you do that. But let's say I told myself I'm going north. So I started on that trip. I got north. If all I said was I'm going to go north and I wanted to get here, but I didn't make it clear that that's where I wanted to go, then I'm not going to get here. I'm going to get to one of these other lines. Chances are 1 in a million that you're going to end up in New York City. And I'm just making that number up with 1 in a million, but the chances are extremely slim that you're going to end up in that place. You're probably going to end up somewhere else. Chances are just not in your favor. Yet this is exactly what so many people do with their goals. They set some broad goal that has no clarity about where they actually want to go. And so what do? They end up with subpar results or just giving up in general because they start working towards it and they're like, wow, this doesn't feel as good as I thought. Some people have this lack of clarity subconsciously. Their subconscious mind knows in the past that they didn't work hard enough towards their goals or actually make progress. So what they do is they be super vague with what they're deciding to work towards so that they almost can't fail. But then they find themselves extremely unfulfilled because they got $100 more. Maybe they lost 2 pounds. So when you don't have an actual destination that you're working towards, it kind of sucks. Now, the cool thing is, you set this destination. Let's say you set the destination here. This is where you've been working towards all year. Guess what? You can keep going. This was your goal. You can keep going. You're an overachiever. You reached your goal in record time. Isn't that the goal? Wouldn't you love to condense your New Year's resolutions into 6 months and then keep going? You don't have to give up just because you already got it. But a lot of people are vague. And they're either vague because, one, they don't know any better. No one's actually taught them this stuff. And two is, again, that subconscious mind being super vague so that they don't have to experience failure of not reaching a goal. And once you realize you can't actually fail if you're focused on the important things, because what you're focused on is becoming the person. The most important thing is developing yourself. Then you realize, I mean, working in this direction, I didn't get there, but who I became in this process, the lessons I learned in this process are so valuable. This external outcome is not a determinant of my worth. It's just an achievement that I want to get to. There's nothing wrong with setting out for achievements. Just don't confuse it with fulfillment. Fulfillment is in the person that you become. So that's the problem. It's number one. Most people lack clarity. They have one of these arrows going out because they don't know where they're actually going. When you set your GPS, you pick a very specific location. And if you don't get there, guess what? Screw maps. If you set your destination to get you somewhere and Google Maps doesn't take you there, you're going to be pretty pissed because you had set the thing there. But when you do it to yourself and you don't even set the GPS, then you're upset that you didn't get there. How the hell does that make any sense? So we need to have clarity. That's number one. Most people lack that very, very simple piece, which is clarity. Now, here's number two. Most people lack a strong enough purpose behind what it is they're doing, a why. Now, I know you've heard this. You've heard about the why. Maybe you watch Simon Sinek's video on the why. Maybe you listen to some of Tony Robbins stuff about the why. You need to have a reason. And it's got to be powerful. It's got to be really powerful. And I challenge you to look outside of yourself when you start to create these things. Because the pattern that I've seen with myself and with plenty of others is that when you are focused entirely on yourself, it's so easy to give up. Doesn't matter how much you love yourself. But if you are comfortable where you're at, if you're good where you're at, it's easy when you wake up in the morning to be like, life's good, man. I don't need to get up 30 minutes earlier so I can make time for this thing. I don't need to do X, Y, and Z today because I feel good. Life's good. And we get complacent. We settle for mediocrity. And it's because the reason, the purpose is not big enough. And oftentimes, it's because we are focused on the self. Now, if you're to really think about the other people that are being affected, and if you haven't got to that place, I'd challenge you to start thinking outside of yourself. When you create, when you're the creator in your life, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it past yourself? Is it for God? Is it living your mission here? Is it for your family and providing a legacy? Is there a certain client that you are helping that needs you to show up? And that's what it is for me. All of these things, actually, but so much so for the client that I know needs my support, needs my help. So when I play small, when I don't show up in integrity with my vision and my goal, I'm letting that person down. And every day I fail to show up, that perfect avatar, that client, that person, that soul is not being helped because of me. It's a lot harder to justify not getting up 30 minutes earlier for that person who I know I need to help than myself. Because guess what? Life is really good. Life is beautiful, especially as you walk that journey of faith and you realize that God is creating this beautiful plan for you. It is so easy to get complacent. It's so easy to settle when you just think about yourself. But when you really, really dive into who it is you're doing it for, past yourself, you're going to start to develop a bigger why. And that why will move you. That why will be potent. But you have to get there. You have to actually think past yourself. Think deeper than yourself. Think about the people who need you to show up in the world. Why are you doing it? Why is this actually important to you? Why does it matter? If when you speak about your goal and you talk about the why and you don't feel a movement inside of here, you don't feel connected with that deep enough, it's probably not going to happen. Chances are it's not going to cause you to take massive action because it's not big enough. It's not important enough. And at the root of it, that's the only reason you've never reached goals is because it wasn't important enough. Guess what? If it was important enough, I guarantee you'd find a way. If it was important enough, you would make it happen because you always do, right? Every single thing that you've ever had to do that it was a must, you made it happen because you had to. But when it's not a must, you don't make it happen. So get clear on that why, and you're going to show up next level versus anything you've done in the past. So those are the first two, a lack of clarity and a lack of purpose. Now, number 3, this is very much inspired by Tony Robbins, and it's changed my life a lot as I've dived into this, is a lack of pain. Oh, that doesn't sound good, right? I don't want to feel pain. Nobody does, right? Well, let's really sit with it for a second. What happens? This goal you have down, this goal that is so important to you, what happens if you don't reach that goal this year? And what if you don't reach it next year? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years? What happens when you're lying on your deathbed and you haven't reached that goal? You consistently fell short. You consistently didn't show up. How painful is that? How painful is it to know that you settled for mediocrity, that you never actually set out on your dreams and went for that big, big goal, that vision, that dream that you had? How painful is that? How painful is it to know that the child inside of you that had boundless imagination and creativity and dreamed so big that you suppressed it, that you let it be exactly that, a dream and not a reality? Again, when you think about yourself, maybe it's okay, but when you think about the others, think about how you left your family. As a man, I know one of the biggest things for me is leaving a legacy for my children. I know that when I have children one day, I'm going to want them to look to their dad and be inspired. I want them to look to their dad and be like, wow, daddy did it all. He did everything. He worked so hard. He changed the world. He showed up. He provided. We're taken care of so well that we never have to worry about finances. But daddy trained us so well that we actually know how to use this and be a steward with our income. And he actually changed the world for men and made it so that we grow up in a better place. What's the pain of not feeling that? What's the pain of your children looking at you and being like, man, daddy was a loser. Daddy didn't work hard. Daddy gave up on his dreams. Daddy didn't show up. Daddy wasn't serious. Daddy didn't care enough about us to actually make a change. As I say that, it makes me emotional. I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about the other people. Because you know what? I'm always going to be fine, right? And you are too. You've always been fine. You've always figured out a way how. Chances are you've always had a roof over your head virtually every night of your life. Chances are you've not gone without meals for a prolonged period unintentionally. Maybe you fasted for a time, but you never went without meals because you couldn't get it, but it was a must. You're thinking about yourself. You'll always be taken care of. God will always take care of you and give you exactly what you need, but you also have to co-create with him. The pain of not reaching your goals has to be extremely painful. Why is this so important to you? And how painful will it be if you continuously fall short, stand in mediocrity, and give in to these worldly pleasures that take you away from the dreams and imagination and creativity that you truly were put upon your heart with? How painful is that? If it's not painful enough, you won't move. Your why can be so damn powerful. The why is pulling you, the pain is pushing you. When you bring these two things together, man, it's powerful. And for a lot of people, their why might be partly rooted in pain. But for some people, the purpose is just about going towards. So when you have the pain that's behind you, pushing you, it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. It's a strong motivator. But you want it to be rooted from love. And that's the tricky part. I love my kids so much, so I don't want to face the pain of all those things that I just mentioned. Because I love my kids, it's rooted in love. The pain of not doing that would be because I was scared. There's fear and there's love. And the pain is when I fall into that state of fear, how painful is it? For most people, they feel that it's a lot more painful to go for their goal and fail than to not go for it at all. And it's silly. Some people don't even plan. Some people don't even set goals. Some people don't even actually create a path forward because it is so much more painful to dream and fall short than it is to stay right where they're at and not move. When I hear that, it's painful. It's painful to think about standing still when I know that I was placed here with a big potential. And I know I was placed here with a big purpose, that God put me here for a very intentional reason. The pain of falling short for my children, my creator, those that I serve, that is painful. So if you want to reach your goals in 2025, or whenever you're listening to this, because this is always applicable, right now is December 31st, 2024. We're talking anytime. If you really want to meet your goals, if you really want to transform your life, get clear. So build clarity, build a big enough why, and feel into the pain. I don't know what that is. Feel into the pain of what it's like to not achieve your goal. If you do those three things, I promise your life will transform. I promise your goals will become realities. Your dreams will no longer just be dreams. And you will be forever grateful that you actually went for it. But it's all up to you, my friend.